On a rainy afternoon, a black woman was rushing to her dream job interview when she froze. An elderly man had collapsed on a bench, clutching his chest in pain as passers-by ignored him. Without hesitation, she called 911 and stayed by his side until help arrived, knowing it might cost her the opportunity she'd waited for all her life. What she didn't know was that the man was a billionaire CEO, and her act of compassion would soon change not only her life but thousands of others forever. Before we dive deeper into this story, let us know where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming stories every day. 30 seconds. That's all Jasmine Carter had to decide between her future and a stranger's life. The downtown street was a blur of motion, rush hour horns, footsteps, voices, the hiss of exhaust rising in the cold October air. Jasmine had just stepped off the number 17 bus, the one she'd caught from the west side 40 minutes earlier. Her shoes hit the pavement hard. Across the street she could already see it, Hamilton Medical Group, the glass tower gleaming gold in the late afternoon light. 15 minutes to go. She could make it. Her heart raced as she clutched her worn leather portfolio to her chest. Inside were 3 copies of her resume, carefully printed at the library that morning, her one shot to save her mother's life. 4 o'clock, 15th floor. The interview that could change everything. She adjusted her jacket and took a breath, ready to run the last block. But then she saw him. 10 feet away, on a weathered stone bench near the crosswalk, an elderly white man had collapsed. His hands clawed weakly at his chest. His face was slick with sweat despite the autumn chill. His wool coat hung open, his tie crooked, and a brown leather portfolio lay on the ground beside him. The gold initials RH faintly glinting in the fading light. 25 seconds. Jasmine froze. People streamed around him like water around a rock, commuters hurrying home, eyes on phones, headphones in. A woman in heels glanced once and walked faster. A man in a suit detoured around the bench without slowing. Nobody stopped. Nobody helped. Jasmine's pulse thundered in her ears. Her interview was right there, across the street, through those glass doors. 15 minutes early if she kept moving. She could already see the lobby, but the man was dying. His breathing was jagged, his face gray, lips turning blue. 20 seconds. Inside her head, her mother's voice echoed. "This is our chance, Jasmine. Don't waste it." And then another voice, quieter, desperate, cut through it. "Help me," the man mouthed. No sound came out, just air and terror. 15 seconds. Her throat tightened. The sound of traffic faded, leaving only her heartbeat and his shallow gasps. She took one step forward toward the crosswalk, then stopped. 10 seconds. Her future was right there, behind those revolving glass doors. A salary, health insurance, cancer treatment, everything her mother needed. But her conscience was right here, on this cold slab of concrete, staring up at her with dying eyes. 5 seconds. Her hand clenched the handle of her portfolio until her knuckles whitened. She looked at him, the foam at the corner of his mouth, the way his chest stuttered, the faint tremor in his fingers. 3 seconds. Her eyes flicked toward the crosswalk signal. The little white walking man blinked once, then turned red. 2 seconds. Her feet shifted. The weight of the moment pulled her like gravity. 1 second. And that was when Jasmine Carter made the choice that would change everything. The alarm clock screamed at 4:30 that morning. Jasmine's hand shot out from under the thin blanket, silencing it before it could wake her mother. The darkness in the one-bedroom apartment was thick, oppressive. She lay on the sagging couch for a moment, staring at the cracked ceiling, counting the 27 cracks she'd memorized during countless sleepless nights. The floor creaked as she stood, the cold linoleum biting through her threadbare socks. She couldn't afford new ones, and these had been darned so many times they were more thread than sock. The bathroom mirror was cracked down the middle, splitting her reflection in two. The woman staring back looked 10 years older than her 28 years. Dark circles ringed her eyes. Her mother's eyes. The uniform hung on the back of the door. Red polyester, stained with grease no amount of washing could remove. It smelled like the diner even after she'd washed it 3 times. She pulled it on in the dark, not wanting to see herself in that mirror anymore. From the bedroom, she heard her mother's breathing. Labored, wet, each breath a reminder of the medication they couldn't afford, the treatments they'd never have, the time they were running out of. 4:45. Time to leave for the 5 o'clock shift at Miller's Diner. The morning shift was brutal, 6 straight hours on her feet, carrying plates of eggs and bacon to truckers and early bird seniors. Her shoes, bought second-hand 3 years ago, had holes in both soles. She could feel every crack in the tile floor, every piece of gravel in the parking lot. By 11, when her shift ended, she'd earned $21.53 in tips. She counted it 3 times in the break room, smoothing out each crumpled bill, stacking the quarters and dimes. 6 hours of work, $21.53. The math was brutal and unforgiving. Rent, $600 a month. They were 2 months behind. $1,200 hanging over their heads like a guillotine. Electricity, $215. The shut-off notice had arrived last week, printed in angry red letters. Water, $63. Her mother's pain medication, $200 for a single bottle that lasted 3 weeks. They were down to the last pills. Jasmine sat in the break room and did what she did every day. She counted the money again and decided what they could live without for another day. Food, they could skip dinner. The electric bill could wait 1 more week. The water company hadn't shut anyone off yet, but the medicine. Her mother needed the medicine. When she got home at 11:30, her mother was awake, sitting up in bed, trying to hide the pain. Sharon Carter had been beautiful once. Jasmine had seen the pictures from her mother's youth, vibrant, full of life, full of dreams. Now at 52, she looked 70. Cancer did that. Poverty did that. The combination was devastating. "How was work, baby?" her mother asked, her voice a whisper. "Good, mama, real good." The lie tasted like ash. Jasmine heated up canned soup for lunch, the cheap kind, mostly broth. They split it. Her mother ate 3 spoonfuls before she couldn't manage anymore. Jasmine finished the rest, though her stomach twisted with hunger and guilt in equal measure. "I got a call back," Jasmine said, forcing brightness into her voice. "For that medical assistant position. Interview today at 4. Her mother's eyes lit up, and for a moment Jasmine saw a glimpse of the woman she used to be. "Oh baby, that's wonderful, that's," she coughed, a deep rattling sound that shook her whole body. Jasmine held her mother until the coughing subsided, feeling the bones through her thin nightgown. When had her mother become so small? "The position pays $52,000 a year," Jasmine whispered. "With full health insurance, for the whole family." Those last 4 words hung in the air like a prayer. Full health insurance. Treatment, real treatment, clinical trials, specialists, maybe even a chance. "You're gonna do great," her mother said, squeezing her hand. "You're so smart, Jasmine. You're gonna change our lives." After her mother fell asleep, Jasmine sat at their tiny kitchen table and opened her wallet. $29.45. That was everything they had in the world. Bus fare to downtown, $2.75 one way, $5.50 round trip. That left $23.90. Not enough for medicine. Not enough for electricity. Not enough for anything. But maybe, just maybe, enough to get to an interview that could change everything. The apartment was quiet except for her mother's labored breathing from the next room. Jasmine put her head down on the table and let herself cry, just for a minute. Just long enough to release the pressure building in her chest. Then she wiped her eyes, stood up, and went to prepare for the interview that would save them both. The afternoon brought what felt like a miracle. Jasmine almost didn't answer. Unknown number, probably a debt collector. They called 3 times a day now, asking for money she didn't have, threatening consequences she couldn't afford to worry about. But something made her swipe to accept. "Hello, hi, is this Jasmine Carter?" A woman's voice, professional, warm. "Yes, this is she. This is Rebecca Chen, from Hamilton Medical Group. I'm calling about the medical assistant position you applied for 3 weeks ago." Jasmine's heart stopped. 3 weeks. She'd applied on a whim, knowing she wasn't qualified enough, didn't have the right certificates, couldn't afford the uniform they'd require. She'd never heard back and assumed they'd filed her resume in the trash. Yes, I remember. I'm so sorry for the short notice, but we've had a cancellation and we have an opening this afternoon at 4 o'clock. Would you be available for an interview?" Jasmine's hand shook. 4 o'clock. Today. 2 hours from now. Yes, she heard herself say. Yes, absolutely, I can be there. Wonderful. The address is 340 West Monroe Street, 15th floor. Please arrive 15 minutes early and bring your resume. We'll be interviewing for a medical assistant position with a starting salary of $52,000 annually, with full benefits including health insurance for you and your immediate family. The words full health insurance and immediate family rang in Jasmine's ears like church bells. I'll be there, she said, her voice steady despite her trembling hands. Thank you so much for this opportunity. When she hung up, she stood frozen in the middle of their tiny apartment, the phone still clutched in her hand. Then reality crashed over her. 2 hours, she needed to get downtown. The bus would take 40 minutes if there were no delays. She needed to change, print fresh copies of her resume, look presentable. Jasmine ran to her closet and pulled out the interview suit she'd bought at Goodwill 5 years ago. Navy blue, slightly faded, hem coming loose on one sleeve. She'd sewn it back up twice already. It was the only professional outfit she owned. She changed quickly, checking herself in the cracked mirror. The suit hung a little loose, she'd lost weight from skipping meals, but it would have to do. She pulled her hair back into a tight bun, the way she'd seen professional women wear it in magazines. Her mother stirred in the bedroom. Mama, I got the interview. Today. At 4, Sharon's eyes opened and even through the haze of pain and medication, they shone with pride. I knew it. I knew you could do it, baby. I need to go soon. Mrs. Martinez from downstairs said she'd check on you. I'll be fine, you go get that job. Her mother reached out a thin hand, and Jasmine took it, holding carefully. This is it, Jasmine. This is our chance. Jasmine kissed her mother's forehead and left before the tears could fall. Outside, the October afternoon was cold and bright. She walked to the bus stop, calculating and recalculating in her head. $2.75 each way. She had enough, barely. The number 17 bus pulled up at 2:30 right on schedule. Jasmine paid her fare with exact change, and found a seat near the middle. She pulled out her resume, and read it for the 100th time, rehearsing answers in her head. Why do you want this position? Because my mother is dying, and your health insurance could save her. No. Too desperate. I'm passionate about healthcare and helping people. I'm a fast learner, dedicated, and I believe in the mission of providing quality medical care to everyone. Better, professional. Hopeful without being desperate. She practiced until the words felt natural, until she could say them with confidence instead of desperation. For the first time in months, Jasmine let herself hope. $52,000 a year. More than twice what she made now working 2 jobs. Health insurance. Real health insurance that covered cancer treatment, that covered specialists, that covered the medications her mother needed to survive. They could move out of the apartment, with the broken heater and the mold in the bathroom. They could buy food that wasn't expired, or on clearance. They could pay bills on time without choosing which one to ignore. Her mother could live. The thought filled her chest with something that felt dangerously close to joy. But joy, Jasmine had learned, was a luxury that poverty rarely allowed for long. At 2:55, the bus lurched to a sudden stop. Jasmine looked up from her resume. They were still 6 blocks from her destination. The bus wasn't moving. Outside the window she could see the problem. 2 cars had collided at the intersection ahead. Not a major accident, but enough to block traffic. The driver's voice crackled over the intercom. Sorry folks, we're gonna be stuck here for at least 20 minutes while they clear this accident. 20 minutes. Jasmine checked her watch. 2:57. The interview was at 4. She needed to arrive by 3:45, to be 15 minutes early, to show she was responsible, punctual, the kind of employee they wanted. She took a deep breath. 20 minutes. That would make it 3:15. Then 6 blocks. Maybe 10 minutes to walk. She'd arrive at 3:25. Still 20 minutes early. Plenty of time. It would be fine. The bus sat in traffic. Around her, passengers sighed, checked their phones, settled in for the wait. A man 2 rows ahead called someone to say he'd be late. A woman across the aisle pulled out headphones and closed her eyes. Jasmine sat rigid in her seat, watching the minutes tick by on her watch. 3 o'clock. 3:05. 3:10. The accident scene ahead was chaos. Police cars, flashing lights, 2 tow trucks trying to clear the vehicles. The intersection was completely blocked. 3:12. 3:15. Finally, the cars ahead began to move. The bus rolled forward at an agonizing crawl. 3:25. 3:30. When the bus finally reached her stop at 3:35, Jasmine was out the door before it fully opened. She had 25 minutes to walk 10 blocks and find the 15th floor of a building she'd never visited. She ran. Her cheap shoes slapped against the pavement. Her portfolio bumped against her hip. The hem of her suit jacket flapped behind her. She didn't care who saw her, didn't care how unprofessional she looked. She just ran. 5 blocks. Her lungs burned. Her feet ached. She hadn't run like this in years. 3 blocks. A stitch formed in her side. She pressed her hand against it and kept going. 1 block. The Hamilton Medical Building rose ahead of her, glass and steel gleaming in the afternoon sun. She could see the rotating doors, the marble lobby. 3:45. She was going to make it. Relief washed over her like warm water. Her mother was going to live. They were going to survive. Everything was finally going to be. The thought died before it could finish forming. That's when she saw him. The bus stop bench sat between her and the Hamilton Medical Building. Jasmine had to walk past it to get to the rotating doors. But she couldn't move. An elderly white man had collapsed on the stone bench. His hands clutched his chest. His face was gray, lips tinged with blue. Sweat soaked through his expensive white dress shirt. His navy slacks were twisted from his fall. Beside him on the ground lay a brown leather portfolio with gold letters, RH. He was dying. Jasmine knew the signs. She'd seen them with her aunt 3 years ago. Heart attack. Massive. Without help he had minutes, maybe less. Around her the rush hour crowd flowed past. A businessman in a suit glanced at the old man and walked faster. 2 women with shopping bags stepped around him without breaking their conversation. A group of teenagers with backpacks walked by without even looking. Nobody stopped. Nobody helped. In a city of 3 million people, this man was dying alone. The bus, the last express bus to downtown, sat idling at the curb. The driver was checking something on his phone. In 30 seconds, maybe less, he'd close those doors and pull away. Jasmine stood paralyzed. 10 feet to her left, the dying man. 10 feet to her right, the bus. Straight ahead through the glass doors, the 15th floor and her future. The man's eyes found hers. Pleading, desperate. He mouthed words she couldn't hear. "Help me, please." "No," Jasmine whispered. "No, not now. Not today." Her hand tightened on her portfolio. Inside were her resumes. Her carefully prepared answers. Her professional references. Everything she needed to save her mother. If she stopped to help this man, she'd miss the interview. They'd already said they interviewed someone else. They wouldn't give her another chance. This was it. This was her mother's only hope. But this man was dying. Right now. Right in front of her. The voice in her head was screaming, "Get on the bus. Your mother is dying too. She needs you. This man is a stranger. You don't owe him anything. Get on the bus." 20 seconds until the bus left. Jasmine looked at the man. Really looked at him. His hair was white, thinning on top. He had age spots on his hands. A gold wedding ring. Someone loved him. Someone was waiting for him to come home. Just like her mother was waiting for her to bring home good news. 15 seconds. The man tried to speak. A thin stream of sound, barely audible. "Please, my wife. Please." Jasmine thought of her mother, lying in that bed, body ravaged by cancer. What if it was her mother on this bench? What if she was dying alone while strangers walked past? Would Jasmine want someone to stop? Or would she want them to catch their bus and save themselves? 10 seconds. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. "You've always had the biggest heart, baby. You feel things too much. You care too much. Is that bad, mama? In this world, sometimes it is." 5 seconds. The bus engine revved. 3 seconds. Jasmine's weight shifted forward, toward the bus or toward the man. Even she didn't know until her portfolio hit the concrete with a heavy thud. "I'm sorry, Mama," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Her phone was already in her hand, fingers trembling as her legs carried her toward the dying man. Behind her the bus doors hissed closed, that final terrible sound of opportunity vanishing. The engine roared. Through the tinted windows, passengers settled into their seats, checking phones, completely unaware that someone's entire world was driving away. The vehicle pulled from the curb, merged into traffic, and disappeared. Jasmine dropped to her knees beside the stranger, rough concrete scraping through her worn stockings, and dialed 911. 911. "What's your emergency?" Jasmine's voice cracked, high-pitched with terror. "I need an ambulance at the corner of Monroe and State, downtown bus stop. There's a man, he's dying. I think he's having a heart attack. Please, you have to hurry. Ma'am, I need you to stay calm. Is he breathing?" Jasmine looked at the man. His chest was barely moving, each breath a shallow gasp. His skin had gone from gray to almost blue. "Yes, but barely. His lips are blue. He's, oh God. I think he's going into cardiac arrest. Is he conscious?" The man's eyes had rolled back, showing mostly whites. His body had gone rigid, then slack. He's fading. He's fading fast. Check for a pulse. Put 2 fingers on his neck. Jasmine's hands were shaking so violently she could barely do it. She pressed her fingers against his neck, feeling for the vital sign that meant life. For a terrifying moment, she felt nothing. Then there, faint, irregular, like a butterfly trapped in his chest, beating weaker with each passing second. "I feel it, but it's so weak. Maybe 40 or 50 beats per minute. That's too slow, isn't it? That's too slow. Help is on the way. I need you to loosen any tight clothing. Can you do that?" Jasmine's fingers fumbled with his tie, expensive navy silk that her hands were getting sweat all over. She yanked it loose, tore open his shirt collar. 2 buttons popped off and scattered across the concrete. She didn't care. His coat. Do I take off his coat? Yes, loosen anything constrictive. She pulled at the wool coat, trying to get it off without moving him too much. He was heavy, dead weight. The coat caught on his arms. She tugged harder, panic making her clumsy. Come on, she muttered. Finally it came free. "How long until the ambulance gets here?" Jasmine's voice rose toward hysteria. 6 to 8 minutes. 8 minutes. He doesn't have 8 minutes. He's dying right now. Around them people continued to walk past. A man in a jogging suit actually stepped over the old man's outstretched leg without breaking stride. Rage flooded through Jasmine so intensely her vision blurred. "Someone help!" she screamed at the crowd. "Please, someone." A few people glanced over. Nobody stopped. A woman took out her phone, not to call for help, but to film, to post on social media, to get likes while a man died. "Please," Jasmine sobbed, looking back at the man. "Please don't die. Please." She remembered the CPR class at the community center 2 years ago. The instructor's voice. "If someone has a pulse, don't do chest compressions. You could make it worse." But she could talk to him, keep him conscious. That's what they'd said. "Sir, can you hear me? My name is Jasmine. Help is coming. You're going to be okay." She gripped his hand, cold, clammy, but she held tight. "Squeeze my hand if you can hear me." Nothing. His hand lay limp in hers. "Please, please squeeze. Show me you're still there." The faintest pressure, barely perceptible, but there. He was still fighting. "That's it. That's good. Stay with me. What's your name? Can you tell me your name?" His lips moved. She leaned closer, her ear near his mouth. Richard. A whisper so faint she almost missed it. "Richard. Okay, Richard. I'm Jasmine. You're going to be fine. Do you have family? Someone I should call?" "Wife." The word was barely audible. "Ellen, tell her. You're going to tell her yourself. You're going to be fine." But even as she said it, Jasmine felt his pulse weakening under her fingers. The butterfly was dying. No, Richard. Stay with me. Stay awake. Look at me." His eyes were closing. She grabbed his face gently but firmly, trying to keep him conscious. "Richard, open your eyes. That's an order. Open them." For a moment, one precious moment, his eyes flickered open. They found hers. In them, she saw fear. Terrible, absolute fear of the darkness coming for him. "I'm scared," he whispered. I know you are. But I'm here, you're not alone. I'm not leaving you. I promise." She checked her phone. 4 minutes since she'd called. 4 minutes felt like 4 hours. Where was the ambulance? Why weren't they here yet? Richard's breathing changed, became erratic. His chest rose and fell in irregular spasms. Jasmine had seen this before with her aunt. This was the body shutting down. No, Richard, breathe. Come on, breathe with me. She demonstrated, taking deep, exaggerated breaths. In, out, in, out. Copy me. Come on. He tried. God, he tried. But his body was failing him. Jasmine looked up wildly, scanning the street. Finally, she heard it. The wail of sirens in the distance. Hear that? That's for you. They're almost here. Just hold on. 30 more seconds. But 30 seconds was an eternity. Richard's hand in hers went completely slack. His eyes rolled back. His chest stopped moving. "Richard," Jasmine screamed. No. Help. Someone help me." She put her face close to his mouth. No breath. She checked his neck. The pulse, where was the pulse? Her fingers scrambled frantically. There, barely there, still there. The ambulance screamed to a stop at the curb. 2 paramedics burst out, running toward them with equipment. How long has he been unresponsive? One of them barked, dropping to his knees beside Richard. Just now, maybe 20 seconds. He has a pulse, but it's almost gone. I think he's in cardiac arrest. They moved with practiced efficiency. One ripped open Richard's shirt completely, buttons flying. The other readied the AED machine. Clear. The machine whined, then delivered its shock. Richard's body jerked. Jasmine stumbled backward, her hands over her mouth, watching them work. They shocked him again. Started chest compressions. One paramedic called out stats and numbers she didn't understand. "We've got him," the first paramedic said, glancing at Jasmine. "You did good. Really good. You probably saved his life by calling when you did. Is he going to make it? We'll do everything we can. You his family." "No, I just saw him and nobody else stopped. Nobody else helped." The paramedic's expression darkened. "Yeah, we see that a lot." They loaded Richard onto a stretcher, still working on him, still trying to keep him alive. The ambulance doors closed and the vehicle screamed away, sirens wailing. Jasmine stood alone at the bus stop, surrounded by the evidence of her choice. Richard's coat on the ground, scattered buttons, her portfolio lying in the gutter where she dropped it, and across the street, the Hamilton Medical Building. So close she could see people in the lobby. So close she could have been there in 2 minutes. She looked at her watch. 4:17. Her interview had started 17 minutes ago. Somewhere up on the 15th floor, someone else was sitting in her chair, answering questions she'd practiced, getting her job, saving their own mother while Jasmine's mother died. Jasmine's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the bench where Richard had been dying. The same bench in the same spot. Her hands were still shaking. Her stockings were ruined, knees bloody from the concrete. Her suit was covered in Richard's sweat. She pulled out her phone and dialed Hamilton Medical Group with trembling fingers. "Hamilton Medical, how may I direct your call?" "Rebecca Chen, please, in Human Resources." Her voice sounded hollow, distant, like it belonged to someone else. One moment, the hold music was a cheerful piano melody that made Jasmine want to throw her phone into traffic. "This is Rebecca. Miss Chen, this is Jasmine Carter. I had an interview scheduled at 4 o'clock. Her voice cracked. There was an emergency. A medical emergency. A man was having a heart attack, and I had to call 911. I couldn't just leave him to die. The ambulance just left, Miss Carter." Rebecca's voice was professional, cold as ice. "You're 17 minutes late. The interview started at 4. We have a very tight schedule today." "I know, I'm so sorry, but I can be there in 5 minutes. Please, I'm right outside your building. Just 5 minutes, and Miss Carter, we've already moved forward with another candidate. We had multiple applicants for this position, and punctuality is essential in healthcare. Surely you understand that. Please, I was saving someone's life." He would have died if I hadn't stopped. I can bring you the ambulance report. I can prove. We don't accept excuses for tardiness, regardless of the reason. I'm sorry, but the position has been filled. Thank you for your interest in Hamilton Medical Group. The line went dead. Jasmine sat there, phone pressed to her ear, listening to nothing. For a long moment, she couldn't move, couldn't think, could barely breathe. Then she lowered the phone slowly and stared at the Hamilton Medical Building. Through the glass doors, she could see the security desk, the elevators, the marble floor she dreamed of walking across. $52,000 a year, full health insurance, cancer treatment for her mother, all of it gone. She'd thrown it all away for a stranger. Jasmine put her head in her hands and wept. The apartment was dark when Jasmine finally got home at 9:30 that night. She'd walked from the bus stop, because she couldn't bear to spend another $2.75 on bus fare. Her feet screamed in her cheap shoes. The bloody scrapes on her knees had dried, sticking to her ruined stockings. She stood outside her door for a full 5 minutes, key in hand, unable to make herself turn it. On the other side of that door was her mother who'd been lying in bed all day, dreaming about the phone call that would change their lives, the call that would never come. The key finally turned. The door creaked open. Her mother was awake, propped up on pillows in the bedroom doorway, her thin face anxious and hopeful in the dim light. "Baby, how did it go? I've been waiting all evening." Jasmine opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. The words stuck in her throat like broken glass. They said they'll call." The lie felt like swallowing poison, but she couldn't destroy her mother's hope. Not tonight, not when hope was the only medication her mother had left. "I knew it. I could feel it, Jasmine. This is going to change everything. This is our miracle." Sharon's eyes shone with tears of joy. "Tell me everything. What did they ask? Did you tell them about your experience? Did you show them your certificate?" Jasmine couldn't look at her mother's face. It went well, Mama. They were nice, professional. Each word was a stone in her chest. "But I'm tired. Can we talk about it tomorrow?" "Of course, baby. You must be exhausted. Get some rest." "Oh, Jasmine." Sharon reached out her skeletal hand. "I'm so proud of you." Those words broke something inside Jasmine. She took her mother's hand, held it gently, and fled to the bathroom before the tears could come. She stood in front of the cracked mirror, staring at her reflection. Her suit was ruined, sweat-stained, dirty, missing buttons. Her stockings were shredded. Blood had dried on her knees. Her carefully styled hair had come loose, hanging in limp strands. "This is what $52,000 looks like," she thought. This is what her mother's life looks like. She'd thrown it all away. That night, Jasmine didn't sleep. She lay on the couch, her bed, staring at those 27 ceiling cracks, replaying the moment over and over. The bus, the dying man, the choice. What if she'd gotten on the bus? What if she'd looked away like everyone else? Richard would have died, yes, but her mother would have lived. Her mother would have gotten treatment. Real treatment. The kind that might save her. Instead, she'd saved a stranger and condemned her mother to death. The thought circled her brain like a vulture. At 4:30, her alarm went off. Time for the morning shift at Miller's Diner. She dragged herself upright, pulled on the red polyester uniform that reeked of grease and broken dreams, and left before her mother could wake up and ask questions. The morning shift passed in a blur of exhaustion and despair. Her hands shook as she poured coffee. She dropped a plate, it shattered on the tile floor, and she stood staring at the pieces, unable to move until Eddie came over and guided her to the back. "Sit down, kid. You look like death." So she told him everything. The interview, the dying man, the bus driving away with her future, the phone call that ended with a click and silence. Eddie listened, his weathered face growing sadder with each word. When she finished, he was quiet for a long time. "You did the right thing," he finally said. "The right thing, Eddie. I killed my mother. That job was her only chance. You saved a man's life. And what about my mother's life? What about her?" Jasmine's voice rose, cracked. "She's going to die because I was too stupid to get on a bus." "Jasmine, don't tell me it'll be okay. Don't tell me something else will come along. I've been poor my whole life, Eddie. I know how this works. You get one chance, one, and I threw mine away." Eddie didn't argue, because they both knew she was right. That afternoon, Jasmine came home to find Mr. Davidson waiting outside her door. The landlord stood with his arms crossed, his face set in hard lines. "Miss Carter, we need to talk." Her heart sank. "Mr. Davidson, you're 2 months behind on rent, $1,200. I've been patient, but I can't wait anymore. You have 72 hours to pay in full, or I'm filing eviction papers." 72 hours, Mr. Davidson, please, my mother is dying. I just need a little more time. Everybody's got problems. Mine is tenants who don't pay. 72 hours, Miss Carter. That's it. He walked away before she could say anything else. Jasmine let herself into the apartment. The smell hit her immediately, medicine and sickness and the sweet wrong smell of a body shutting down. Her mother was in bed, and one look told Jasmine everything had gotten worse. Sharon's lips were tinged with blue. Her breathing was shallow, labored. A wadded tissue in her hand was spotted with blood, bright red blood that meant internal bleeding. That meant time was running out faster than Jasmine had thought possible. "Mama?" Jasmine rushed to the bedside. "I'm okay, baby," but Sharon's voice was barely a whisper. "Just a little tired. You're coughing up blood." "It's nothing." Just Sharon coughed, and more blood appeared on the tissue. "Just a bad day." Jasmine checked the medicine cabinet with trembling hands. 2 pills left. 2 days of pain management. After that her mother would suffer every moment until the end. She sank to the floor beside her mother's bed, and did the math one more time, even though she knew the numbers by heart. In her wallet $7.25. She'd spent money on bus fare, on printing her resume, on the interview that never happened. Rent owed $1,200, due in 72 hours, medicine needed $200. The pharmacy wouldn't give them any more credit, cash only. Electric bill, $215. The shut-off notice had arrived that morning, final warning in angry red letters. Water bill, $63. Food in the fridge, half a loaf of bread, going stale, a can of soup, an apple that was starting to brown. Total money needed to survive, at minimum $1,400. Total money available, $7.25. The math was impossible. The math was a death sentence. Jasmine put her head against her mother's bed, and tried not to scream. That night, she lay on the couch and listened to her mother's breathing from the next room. Each breath was wet, rattling, wrong. The sound of a body giving up. She thought about the bus driving away. The Hamilton Medical Building across the street, so close she could have touched it. The phone call that ended in silence. She thought about Richard. Was he still alive? Had she saved him, or just delayed the inevitable? Had it been worth it? The question haunted her, but she knew the answer. No, it hadn't been worth it, because now her mother was dying, and Jasmine was the one who'd killed her. The next morning, she went back to Miller's Diner, 6 hours on her feet for $21.53. The same as always, the same as forever. At lunch, she stopped at the pharmacy. "I need my mother's pain medication," she told the pharmacist. "Please, she's down to her last pill." The pharmacist checked the computer, his face sympathetic but firm. "Miss Carter, your account is past due. We can't extend any more credit. Cash only. I don't have $200, I have $7. But please, she's dying. She's in so much pain. I'm sorry, I really am, but I can't give you medicine without payment. Company policy." Jasmine stood at the counter, staring at the shelves of medications behind the pharmacist. Right there, 20 feet away, the pills that could ease her mother's suffering. But she might as well have been looking at the moon. She walked home empty-handed. That evening, Mr. Davidson knocked on the door again. 48 hours left. "I don't have the money," Jasmine said before he could speak. "I don't have it." "Then start packing. Eviction papers get filed in 2 days. That night, her mother's screaming woke Jasmine at 2 in the morning. Not crying, screaming. The cancer had spread to her bones, and without pain medication, every movement was agony. Jasmine held her mother, helpless, while Sharon writhed and sobbed. "Make it stop," her mother begged. "Please, baby, make it stop. I can't, I don't have the medicine, I don't have the money." "Then let me die. Please, just let me die." Those words cut deeper than any knife could. At dawn, Jasmine called every charity, every assistance program, every emergency fund she could find. The answer was always the same: waiting list, application process, eligibility requirements, 6 weeks for approval, 8 weeks, 3 months. Her mother didn't have 3 months. Her mother didn't have 3 weeks. She thought about the interview, thought about what she could have had. $52,000, health insurance, real health care. Her mother could have been in treatment right now, instead of dying in a 1-bedroom apartment that smelled like death. The second day, her mother stopped drinking. Her lips cracked and bled. Her eyes sank into her skull. She looked like a skeleton wearing her mother's face. "I'm sorry, Mama," Jasmine whispered, sitting beside the bed. "I'm so sorry. I had a chance to save you and I failed." "You didn't fail, baby." Sharon's voice was barely audible. "You saved someone. That matters. It doesn't matter if you die because of it." "Yes, it does. It matters that you're the kind of person who stops, who helps, who cares." Sharon's skeletal hand found Jasmine's. "Promise me you won't regret it. Promise me you'll stay that kind of person." "I can't promise that." "Try." On the third day, Mr. Davidson knocked one final time. Jasmine didn't answer. She sat on the couch, staring at the door, listening to him tape the eviction notice to the wood. In 1 week, they'd be on the street. Her dying mother and her, homeless, destitute, destroyed. All because Jasmine had stopped to help a stranger instead of saving herself. That night, she pulled out her phone and looked up Richard Hamilton, found his photo online. Older white man, silver hair, kind eyes, CEO of Hamilton Medical Group, net worth estimated at $2 billion. $2 billion. While her mother died because Jasmine didn't have 200, she wondered if he was still alive, if he was sitting in his mansion somewhere, healthy and happy, completely unaware that saving his life had destroyed hers. She wondered if he would care if he knew. Probably not. Rich people never did. Jasmine put her phone away and lay down on the couch. Tomorrow she'd go back to the diner, make her 2153, come home to her dying mother, watch the eviction deadline creep closer, watch her mother suffer without medication, watch their world end in slow motion. This was her reward for doing the right thing. This was what kindness bought you when you were poor. Nothing, absolutely nothing but more pain. But sometimes, when you've fallen so far that there's nowhere left to go, the universe has a way of catching you. 2 days later, someone knocked on the door. Jasmine was alone, her mother was sleeping, and her first thought was Mr. Davidson coming to throw them out early. Her second thought was a debt collector. Her third thought was that she didn't have the energy to deal with either one. She opened the door. A white woman in her mid-40s stood in the hallway. She wore a tailored gray suit that probably cost more than Jasmine's entire wardrobe. Her hair was styled perfectly. She carried a leather briefcase. She did not belong in this building. "Jasmine Carter." "Yes. My name is Marilyn Foster. I'm the executive assistant to Richard Hamilton, CEO of Hamilton Medical Group." The name hit Jasmine like a physical blow. Hamilton Medical Group. The interview she'd missed. "I'm sorry," Jasmine said slowly. "Did you say Richard Hamilton?" "Yes. You saved his life 2 days ago. He's been in the hospital, but he's recovering well. He asked me to find you." Jasmine's brain couldn't process what she was hearing. The man at the bus stop, that was Richard Hamilton. The Richard Hamilton. Yes. He had a massive heart attack. The EMTs said if you hadn't called when you did, he would have died. As it was very close. Jasmine gripped the door frame. The CEO of Hamilton Medical Group. The man who owned the company where she was supposed to interview. The man she saved instead of going to her interview. "I need to sit down," she whispered. Marilyn's expression softened. "May I come in?" They sat at Jasmine's tiny kitchen table. Marilyn looked around the apartment, taking in the peeling paint, the cracked linoleum, the couch with the sheets still on it. She didn't comment, but Jasmine saw the understanding in her eyes. "Mr. Hamilton would like to thank you personally," Marilyn said, "but first he asked me to give you this." She pulled an envelope from her briefcase and placed it on the table. Jasmine stared at it. "What is that?" "Open it." With shaking hands, Jasmine opened the envelope. Inside were $5,100 bills, $5,000. "I can't accept this," Jasmine said immediately, trying to push the envelope back across the table. "Mr. Hamilton anticipated you might say that. He said to tell you this isn't payment for saving his life. That's priceless. This is compensation for whatever you lost by stopping to help him." Tears stung Jasmine's eyes. "I lost a job interview. At his company actually. 4 o'clock that day, I was supposed to interview for a medical assistant position. Marilyn's eyes widened. You were one of our candidates. I was, until I was late because I stopped to save your boss. For a moment neither of them spoke. Then Marilyn said, Mr. Hamilton would like to meet with you. Tomorrow, if possible. 10 o'clock, his office. Why? Because you saved his life. Because you sacrificed your own future to help a stranger. Because he believes in rewarding that kind of character. She stood up. Will you come? Jasmine looked at the envelope on the table. $5,000. It would pay the rent, buy medicine, keep the lights on, give them time. But it wasn't about the money. It never had been. I'll come, Jasmine said, but I'm still not taking this. Marilyn smiled. Tell him that tomorrow. I'm sure he'd love to hear it. After she left, Jasmine sat at the table, staring at the envelope. Her mother's voice came from the bedroom. Baby, who was that? Jasmine picked up the envelope and walked into her mother's room. She sat on the edge of the bed, and told her everything. When she finished, her mother was crying. I'm so proud of you, Sharon whispered. So proud. That night, for the first time in weeks, Jasmine slept. The next morning arrived with the kind of crystalline autumn sunshine that made even the impossible seem within reach. Hamilton Tower dominated the downtown skyline. 30 stories of blue-tinted glass that caught the morning sun and threw it back at the city. Jasmine stood on the sidewalk, staring up at it, feeling impossibly small. She wore the same interview suit from 3 days ago. It was still the only professional outfit she owned, but she'd pressed it carefully, fixed the loose hem, polished her worn shoes until they almost looked new. The lobby was marble and glass, and money. A massive chandelier hung from the ceiling, crystals catching the light and scattering rainbows across the walls. Her footsteps echoed on the polished floor. The receptionist was young and professional, with a smile that was warm and genuine. You must be Miss Carter. Mr. Hamilton is expecting you. 12th floor. The elevator was glass on one side, offering a view of the city as it rose. Jasmine watched Chicago shrink beneath her, and wondered if this was real or if she was still asleep on her couch, dreaming. The doors opened on the 12th floor. More marble, more glass, a thick carpet that absorbed sound. Everything was quiet and elegant and expensive. Marilyn was waiting. Miss Carter, thank you for coming. This way please. They walked down a hallway lined with photographs, medical facilities, smiling staff, ribbon-cutting ceremonies. Hamilton Medical Group wasn't just a company, it was an empire. Marilyn opened a door. Mr. Hamilton, Miss Carter is here. The office was huge. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over the lake. A massive desk made of dark wood dominated the space. Behind it Richard Hamilton stood up. He looked different than he had on the bench. His white hair was neatly combed. His blue eyes were clear and alert. He wore a charcoal suit that fit perfectly. But when he smiled, Jasmine recognized him, the desperate man who'd asked for help. Miss Carter. He came around the desk, hand extended. When she took it, he covered her hand with both of his. Thank you for coming, and thank you for saving my life. I'm glad you're okay, Jasmine said, and meant it. Please sit. He gestured to a chair, then took the one beside it, rather than retreating behind his desk. Equals not employer and employee. Marilyn tells me you refused the money. I didn't help you for money, Mr. Hamilton. Richard, please. He leaned back, studying her. Do you know how rare that is? In my position, everyone wants something. Everyone has an angle. But you gave up your interview to save a stranger. Marilyn told me. You were coming to interview with us that day. Yes, sir. Richard, why did you stop? The question caught her off guard. Because you needed help. A lot of people walked past me that day. I know I saw them, but you didn't. Jasmine thought about how to answer. Finally she said, my mother is sick, cancer, stage 4. If she was lying there dying while people walked past, I'd want someone to stop, so I stopped. Richard was quiet for a long moment. Tell me about your mother. So she did. Everything came pouring out, the diagnosis, the lack of insurance, the impossible choices, the medicine they couldn't afford, the time they were running out of. She hadn't meant to say so much, but once she started she couldn't stop. When she finished, Richard's eyes were wet. The EMTs told me if you'd been 5 minutes later I would have died. You gave me time. Time to see my grandchildren grow up. Time to finish things I left undone. Time with my wife. He paused. So now I'd like to give you something. Richard, please, hear me out. He pulled a folder from his desk. This is a job offer, not the medical assistant position. Something better. I need a personal assistant. Someone I can trust absolutely. Someone with compassion, judgment, integrity, qualities I saw in you when you made the hardest choice of your life. He opened the folder and pushed it across to her. Jasmine looked down at the paper, her eyes caught on the number. $75,000 per year. That can't be right, she whispered. It's right, plus full health insurance. Platinum coverage, for you and your family members, including cancer treatment, including experimental therapies, including everything your mother needs. Jasmine's vision blurred. She couldn't breathe. This wasn't real. It couldn't be real. Why? The word came out broken. Why would you do this? Richard's voice was gentle. Because you showed me that kindness still exists in this world. Because you valued a stranger's life over your own future. Because my company should be led by people with that kind of character. Because I can help. And isn't that what we're supposed to do? The tears came then and Jasmine couldn't stop them. She sat in this expensive office in her worn suit and cried while a billionaire handed her tissues and didn't say a word. I don't know what to say, she finally managed. Say yes. She laughed through her tears. Yes, of course, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. You start Monday. But first let's get your mother into treatment. I'll have Marilyn set everything up with our oncology department. The best doctors. The best care. Whatever she needs. Jasmine stood and so did Richard. On impulse she hugged him. For a second he was surprised and then he hugged her back. You gave me my life back, he said. Now let me help you save your mother's. Time, when given a chance, can heal almost anything. 6 months later Jasmine sat in her office on the 10th floor of Hamilton Tower. It wasn't a huge office, but it had a window, a real wooden desk, a computer with 2 monitors, a nameplate that read Jasmine Carter, Special Assistant to the CEO. Most importantly, it had a photograph on the desk, her mother taken 3 weeks ago, Sharon Carter, her hair growing back after chemo, color in her cheeks, smiling at the camera. Her mother was going to live. The treatment had been aggressive, expensive, cutting edge. Without the insurance it would have cost $250,000. With it they'd paid nothing. The cancer was in remission. The doctors used the word cured carefully, but they used it. Jasmine's phone buzzed. Richard's direct line. Jasmine, could you come to my office? I'd like to discuss something with you. She walked down the hall, still sometimes marveling at the fact that she worked here, that this was her life now. She'd moved her mother into a real apartment with 2 bedrooms and an elevator. She'd bought clothes that fit. She'd paid off every debt, but more than anything she'd learned. Richard had taken her under his wing, teaching her about business, about healthcare, about running a company that employed 3,000 people. She'd taken online courses at night, earned her medical assistant certification, even started working toward a degree. In Richard's office he gestured to the small conference table. I have a proposal for you. She sat curious. Okay, for 6 months I've watched you work. You're smart, dedicated, compassionate. You see things others miss. He paused. 2 weeks ago you sent me a memo about our tardiness policy. Jasmine winced. She'd overstepped. She knew it. She'd suggested that the company's strict policy, 3 strikes and you're terminated, was hurting good employees who had legitimate emergencies. I'm sorry if I was out of line. You weren't. You were absolutely right. Your memo made me think about the day you saved my life. You were late to your interview because you stopped to help someone. Our policy would have punished that. It would have punished compassion. He pulled out a document. I want to create a program. Call it the Kindness First Initiative. Employees who are late or miss work because they stopped to help someone, assist at an accident, help a stranger in distress, donate blood, volunteer at a shelter, they won't be penalized. They'll be commended. Jasmine's heart began to race. But I want to go further, Richard continued. Scholarships for employees' children, free vocational training for disadvantaged communities, support services for families dealing with medical crises. I want to build a culture that rewards compassion, not just productivity. That's incredible. Jasmine breathed. I want you to run it, director of the Kindness First Initiative, your own department, your own budget, hire a team. make this real. Me, Richard, I don't have the experience. You have the most important qualification. You've lived what we're trying to prevent. You know what it's like to face impossible choices. That's worth more than any MBA. He pushed the document toward her. Say yes. She thought about the bus stop, the dying man, the choice that had terrified her. Yes, she said. Absolutely yes. Over the next year, the Kindness First initiative grew beyond anything Jasmine had imagined. They helped 500 families with emergency medical costs. They gave 30 full scholarships to children of employees who couldn't afford college. They trained 200 people in medical vocations, EMT, nursing assistant, phlebotomy, all for free. The program got attention. First local news, then national. Forbes ran a feature, Hamilton Medical Group, pioneering corporate compassion. The Wall Street Journal called it the future of conscious capitalism. Other companies started reaching out. Could they implement similar programs? Could Jasmine consult? Could they learn? At the one-year anniversary celebration, Jasmine stood in a conference room with 500 people, employees, scholarship recipients, community members whose lives had been changed by the program. Richard stood at the front of the room. A year ago, a young woman made a choice. She chose compassion over her own future. She saved my life. But more than that, she reminded me why we do what we do. She taught me that true success isn't measured in profits, but in lives changed. He turned to Jasmine. Miss Carter has transformed not just our company, but the way we think about business. Today I'm proud to announce that the Kindness First initiative is expanding. We're partnering with 30 companies across 12 cities. What started with one act of kindness is becoming a movement. The room erupted in applause. That night Jasmine went home to the apartment she shared with her mother. Sharon was in the kitchen actually cooking, something she hadn't been strong enough to do a year ago. How was the celebration? Her mother asked. Good, really good. Jasmine hugged her from behind. I love you, Mama. I love you too, baby. I'm so proud of what you've built. I didn't build it. I helped one person. That's all. Her mother turned around, cupping Jasmine's face in her hands. That's how you change the world, Jasmine. One person at a time. Life has a strange symmetry sometimes, a way of bringing us full circle when we least expect it. 2 years after that day at the bus stop, Jasmine stood at the same downtown station. She was on her way to City Hall for a meeting with the mayor about expanding Kindness First citywide. She wore a designer suit now, carried a leather briefcase, but the bus stop looked exactly the same. The same stone bench, the same flow of indifferent commuters, and a woman lying on the ground beside the bench. Jasmine's heart stopped. The woman was elderly, Hispanic, clutching her stomach. Bags of groceries had spilled around her. An orange rolled across the concrete. People walked past. A man stepped over her without breaking stride. 2 teenage girls glanced and kept walking. Jasmine's phone buzzed. The mayor's assistant, running 5 minutes late. See you at 2:30. The meeting was important, crucial even. If the mayor agreed, Kindness First would become official city policy. Thousands of people would be helped. But this woman needed help right now. Jasmine didn't hesitate. She dropped her briefcase and ran to the woman, kneeling beside her on the same concrete where she'd knelt 2 years ago. Ma'am, can you hear me? I'm here to help. The woman's eyes opened, confused, frightened. Then recognition dawned. Jasmine? Little Jasmine. Jasmine looked closer. Mrs. Martinez. Rosa Martinez, her old neighbor from the apartment building. The woman who'd made soup for her mother when they couldn't afford food. Who'd sat with Sharon when Jasmine had to work double shifts. Who'd never asked for anything in return. Mrs. Martinez, what happened? My stomach, so much pain. Rosa's face was gray. Jasmine pulled out her phone, but this time she didn't call 911. She called directly to Hamilton Medical's emergency line, a number she had now. This is Jasmine Carter. I need an ambulance at Monroe and State, priority. Tell them it's for me. Within 6 minutes an ambulance arrived. But not just any ambulance, Hamilton Medical's private service, the one they used for VIPs. The EMTs loaded Rosa onto a stretcher while Jasmine held her hand. I'm coming with you, Jasmine said. At the hospital, Hamilton Medical's flagship location, Jasmine made sure Rosa was taken to a private room. She called the best gastroenterologist on staff. She stayed while they ran tests. Appendicitis, acute. She needed surgery immediately. Don't worry about anything, Jasmine told Rosa. Just focus on getting better. I'll handle everything else. While Rosa was in surgery, Jasmine called the mayor's office and explained she needed to reschedule. Then she called Richard. I'm at the hospital, she said. There was someone who needed help. She heard the smile in his voice. Of course there was. That's who you are. Is everything okay? It will be. But Richard, the woman I'm helping, she's the neighbor who used to take care of my mom. Back when we couldn't afford help, she gave us everything and never asked for anything back. Then make sure she gets the best care we can give. Whatever she needs, Jasmine, whatever it costs. Thank you. No, thank you, for reminding me again why we do what we do. Rosa came through surgery perfectly. When she woke up, Jasmine was sitting beside her bed. How are you feeling? Alive. Rosa managed a weak smile, but confused. This room, these doctors, I can't afford any of this. You don't have to. It's all taken care of. But Miss Martinez, do you remember when my mom was sick? You brought us food. You sat with her so I could work. You never let us pay you. That's different. You were neighbors. We were like family. Exactly. And family takes care of family. Jasmine took her hand. You helped me when I had nothing. Now I have something and I get to help you. That's how this works. Rosa's eyes filled with tears. You were just a little girl, working so hard. I see you now, all grown up, so successful. I'm so proud. I learned from you. You showed me what it means to help people. That afternoon, Jasmine finally made it to City Hall. The mayor apologized for the delay. No, I'm sorry, Jasmine said. There was an emergency. Someone needed help. She told him the story, finding Rosa, helping her, the connection to her past. When she finished, the mayor was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Miss Carter, that's exactly the kind of culture we want to build in this city. That's what Kindness First is about. You just lived it. Again. He signed the partnership agreement that day. Walking back to Hamilton Tower that evening, Jasmine passed the bus stop again. She stood there for a moment, remembering. 2 years ago she'd had nothing. No money, no prospects. A dying mother, a future that looked like an endless grind toward nowhere. And then she'd made a choice. She'd chosen to help. She'd chosen compassion over calculation. She'd chosen to be the kind of person who stopped. That choice had changed everything. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. Dinner in an hour. I'm making your favorite. Jasmine smiled and texted back. I'll be there. Love you. She looked at the bench one more time, then turned toward home. 3 years. That's how long it took for one moment, one choice to become a movement. The TEDx Chicago stage lights were blinding. Jasmine stood at the red dot, looking out at 2,000 people. The faces in the front rows were visible, attentive, expectant. Beyond them, darkness and hundreds more. 3 years ago she began. I was a waitress making $21.53 a day in tips. My mother was dying of cancer we couldn't afford to treat. I had one chance, one interview, that could change our lives. She paused, letting that sink in. And I missed it, on purpose, because I chose to help a stranger who was having a heart attack instead of getting on the bus to my interview. On the screen behind her a photo appeared. Jasmine in her old uniform, looking exhausted. Her mother in a hospital bed, thin and frail. That choice should have destroyed me. In a logical world it did destroy me. I sacrificed my future for a stranger. Another photo, Richard Hamilton in a hospital bed, Jasmine beside him. But that stranger was Richard Hamilton, CEO of Hamilton Medical Group, the company where I was supposed to interview. And when he recovered, he didn't just thank me, he gave me a job, health insurance for my mother, a chance. The screen changed, her mother now, healthy, smiling, Jasmine in her office at Hamilton Tower. My mother is alive because I stopped to help someone. But here's the thing, her voice strengthened. I don't tell you this story so you think I'm special. I tell you this story because I'm not special. I'm ordinary. I just made a choice. A choice every single one of us faces. She stepped away from the podium, walking across the stage. After Richard gave me a second chance, I started asking questions. How many other people face impossible choices between helping others and helping themselves? How many good people are punished for their compassion? How many times do we walk past someone who needs help because we're afraid of what it might cost us? The screen showed statistics, charts, numbers. so we created the Kindness First initiative, a program that protects employees who stop to help others, that provides scholarships, training, support. In 3 years we've helped 1,200 families, we've given 30 full-ride college scholarships, we've trained 200 people for healthcare careers, we've partnered with 30 companies across 12 cities. Applause rippled through the audience. But that's not enough. It's never enough. Because every day in every city people walk past someone who needs help. Every day someone faces the choice I faced. And most of the time, they don't stop. Not because they're bad people, but because they're afraid. Afraid of being late. Afraid of the cost. Afraid of what helping might mean for them. Her voice dropped, intimate now. I want to tell you something I learned. When I knelt beside Richard Hamilton that day, I wasn't thinking about rewards. I wasn't hoping for recognition. I was terrified, because helping him meant losing everything. The screen went black, but it turned out that losing everything, losing my interview, my job, my mother's medicine, it taught me something. Sometimes the things we think will destroy us actually save us. Sometimes the choice that looks like it will cost us everything is actually the choice that changes everything. Behind her, the screen lit up again. Faces, dozens of them. People helped by Kindness First. These are some of the people we've helped. Maria, single mother of 3, got training as a phlebotomist. She now works at our main hospital. James, whose house burned down, received emergency housing support and is back on his feet. Lisa, whose daughter has leukemia, got help paying for treatment and didn't lose her home. More faces appeared, hundreds of them. Each of these people was helped because someone made a choice. Someone chose to create a program that valued compassion. Someone chose to help instead of walking past. Someone chose to believe that kindness matters more than profit. Jasmine turned to face the audience directly. Here's what I want you to know. You don't have to meet a CEO to change your life. You don't have to save someone famous. You just have to choose. Choose to help when you see someone who needs it. Choose to stop when everyone else walks past. Choose to believe that compassion matters. Her voice grew stronger. If 1 million people watching this decide to help just one person this month, just one, that's 1 million lives changed. And those million people will go on to help others. That's how movements start. That's how the world changes. One choice at a time, one person at a time, one moment of courage at a time. The screen behind her changed to simple white text. What will you choose today? I'm asking you to make a choice. Tomorrow when you see someone who needs help, stop. When you have the chance to do something kind even though it costs you something, do it. When you can choose between walking past or walking toward, walk toward. From the wings her mother walked onto the stage. The audience gasped. Sharon Carter, healthy and smiling, joined her daughter at center stage. This is my mother, Jasmine said, her voice breaking. She's alive because I chose to help a stranger. But more than that, she's alive because that stranger chose to help me back. Because Richard Hamilton chose to value compassion over convenience. Because a whole system of people chose kindness. Richard Hamilton walked onto the stage from the other side. The audience rose to their feet. I almost died 3 years ago, Richard said into the microphone. This young woman saved my life, but she did more than that. She taught me what really matters. She taught me that business can be a force for good, that success means nothing if we don't help each other, that the measure of a life isn't what we accumulate, but what we give. He turned to Jasmine. You didn't just save my life that day, you changed it. You changed how I see the world, how I run my company, how I want to spend whatever time I have left. And I'm grateful. Every single day, I'm grateful. The 3 of them stood together on stage. Jasmine, her mother and Richard. While the audience applauded, Jasmine stepped forward one last time. Your kindness today could change everything tomorrow. Not just for the person you help, but for you, for your community, for the world. All you have to do is choose. The final slide appeared behind her. The Kindness First initiative. Learn more. Join us. Choose compassion. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. Later backstage, as people lined up to talk to her, Jasmine checked her phone. Hundreds of messages. The video was already going viral. #Kindness First was trending. But the message that made her smile was from Eddie, her old boss at Miller's Diner. Saw you on TV, kid. Always knew you'd do something amazing. Proud of you." She typed back, "Thank you for believing in me when I was nobody." His response came immediately, "You were never nobody, Jazz. You just needed the world to see what I saw." Jasmine looked at her mother, talking with audience members about her recovery. She looked at Richard signing copies of the Kindness First handbook for people who wanted to start similar programs. 3 years ago she'd stood at a bus stop and made a choice that terrified her. Today that choice had become a movement. Tomorrow it could change the world, all because she'd chosen to stop, to help, to care. All because she'd chosen kindness when kindness seemed impossible. And now she was asking others to do the same. One choice, one person, one moment at a time. That's how everything changes. That's how everything begins.
Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.